education.
That's a very, very good point about the women being very. You're right. If I gave this presentation, I'd probably be talking to you guys again from jail or something. But that's a really good point. I just want to say, I would love to talk to you afterwards. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Good. Definitely. I'd love to talk to you afterwards. Okay. Yes.
I got two questions. First of all, there's a movement within the Anglican Church to get women priests and higher in the hierarchy of the church. And my question is that right avenue to take? Isn't what Catholicism and Anglicanism and different denominations of Christianity and religion in general trying to suppress women? Are women okay to actually take that avenue and tackle it, and maybe one day we'll have a woman pope, not like that we didn't before? And my second question is that when the women's rights issue is brought up, I hear a lot about, it's like, of course, this is American Studies Center, and you're talking about the American side of the point, or this is the Middle East, so you talk about the Middle East. But usually, when women's rights brings up, my mind goes to Simone de Beauvoir and the Manifesto of the 373 Bitches, and that kind of thing, and basically France in the 60s, and all cultivated in May '68. So. Is that possible now? It's like after 40-something years. Is that possible that we get together, get our shit together and do something about it, and actually sign a manifesto about 373? Maybe this time it will be 373 million women signing a manifesto.
About getting together and getting our shit together. I think that was such a good question.
Well,
unfortunately, it's going to happen for sure. All of us women, we are unstoppable and we can do absolutely anything. So it will happen. Whether it's going to happen tomorrow or in a few years, I don't think so. I think the world right now is in a very, very sad, scary place. And I don't think all through history women have been taught, shut up about your problems. When we fix this, or this, then we'll get to you. And I think that we're in a situation like that right now where everybody is saying, just like always, women, leave us alone, and when we fix everything else, maybe we'll get to you. About your other question about religion, I think that it is always good for women to have any job that men have, but I think that religion can be used for good, and I think religion can be used for very, very bad. In the U.S. right now, as I mentioned, there's a huge upsurge of Christian fundamentalism, and they want women uneducated, barefoot, in the kitchen, pregnant. In fact, they're using religion to promote this. Then there's other people who use religion to promote equality and love and supporting your brother and sister. So I think we need to be very, very careful with religion. I think we need to be very careful with it. Yes?
How do you stand on the demarcation started back turn of the 20th century after the Bolshevik Revolution, where writers like Alexandra Kollontai and others criticized Western feminism as a movement that was destined to fail because it's trying to liberate one part of society in and of itself. And she said you cannot liberate women unless you transform the entire society. You have to get rid of capitalism. And so she posited the alternative movement of women's liberation to feminism. How do you feel about that?
I agree completely that unless we transform the entire society and move away from a capitalist society, we are destined to fail. You can't just reform one thing and keep all the rest of systems of oppression in place. That's impossible, and it will not work. Within the kind of capitalism that we're now experiencing, everything is a system of oppression and a system of exploitation. And if you erase one part of it, another will just get in its place. We'll be oppressing someone else the next day. So I definitely think that there needs to be a mass transformation. Absolutely.
How do you feel about the fact that women are, again, I'm focusing on this part of the world. I'm not pretending that the West is, you know, the pinnacle of feminism.
Well, the reason I always say it is because everyone's like, oh, you're not perfect. I'm like, believe me, I know.
Yeah. I mean, I know, but I mean, still, women are in a better position over there than they are over here. The fact that women are, I mean, these. I mean, I really, I keep bringing this up because I mean, I've heard this so much, and it really annoys me to no end. The fact that women are supposedly dignified by having to cover themselves from head to toe, and there's a very, very interesting analogy that a woman made once. A woman that she said that if you have a lollipop and it's not covered with its you know, and it's not covered, you'll have all sorts of insects all over it, and they're gonna, you know, and conversely, if it was covered, then it would be protected, and you know, so that's basically what women and women's bodies in this country, in this region, are viewed as candy for men, as or maybe to the more religious or fundamentalists people, they would consider that as aura, which is basically a genital. I mean, a woman is basically a genital apart from her face and her hands. So I wonder how you feel about that.
In response, just to start, I want to read you a quote. I made these books for everybody. They're like suggested readings and articles, and yeah, but we can get them when you go. But I wanted to read you one quote that I think will really. Women are the only exploited group in history to have been idealized into powerlessness. And I think that addresses what you're trying to say. And I wanted to actually say it to you a minute ago. Women are told that we are protecting you. Your oppression isn't oppression, it's love. And we're exalting you because you're so perfect. Don't get an education, don't talk too much because you're perfect and wonderful. That's such a good point, and I really love to talk about this subject. Women's bodies all over the world are seen as the property of men. Even if I'm completely single, the way I look is available for consumption to every man who looks at me. I have to look pretty to please complete strangers. I have to shut up so I don't offend complete strangers. Whereas men are human beings in their own right, and they're not consumed by anyone. Women, like I mentioned before, are symbols, and like you're talking about the abaya, I think that it is a choice for many women, and they choose to wear it. But I sometimes choose to wear a necklace or jeans. How much of that is really my choice? How much have I been, pressured into thinking, oh, that's the pretty thing to wear, right? It's so complicated and it's so fascinating, but that is a really, really great topic. Women are seen as the representation of sex. A woman is considered responsible for all the men around her and their sexuality. We are supposed to keep them calm. We are supposed to not laugh too much because we'll drive them wild, and then they can't be held responsible for their actions. It's true. I mean, in Saudi, when I was a kid, they told us, it was like a big thing in Khobar, the eastern province, women, if a man has just left a chair, don't sit on the chair for at least 10 minutes so his body heat will evaporate and it doesn't drive him crazy. I never in my life ever sat down in a recently vacated chair and was like, oh my God, that's man's body heat. But now I'm always like, oh my God, what is that? So it's so true. Women, we're held responsible for we're supposed to be the guardians of all things good in society. It's a really complicated thing because we're supposedly so pure and so perfect, but at the same time, we supposedly can't control our own urges, and that's why we can't be alone with men, and we're sluts if we talk to them. We live in this nexus of control and confusion, and it's a wonder that any of us can function properly at all. That was a really good question. Who do I go to first? I don't think I've heard from you.
Yeah.